Renegade put a framed cop on a Harley for 5 seasons, and 3 of the people you are about to meet are already gone. One of them died only this year. The rest mostly quit acting altogether. Here is exactly where every one of them ended up. Number 1. He has been married 6 times, and the 6th ended with a divorce filing in the summer of 2025. Lorenzo Lamas was 34 years old when he first climbed onto that Harley-Davidson, and he is 68 now. Reno Raines was the framed police officer riding town to town, hunting bounties while hunting the one man who could clear his name. Lamas took the job because it let him use 2 things he could actually do: martial arts and motorcycles, and he holds black belts in Taekwondo, Shotokan Karate, Jiu-Jitsu, and Aikido. His father was Fernando Lamas, and his mother was Arlene Dahl. Esther Williams became his stepmother when he was 11. By the time Renegade began, he had already spent 9 years on Falcon Crest and appeared in all 227 episodes, the only actor who never missed one. He said out loud that he disliked his own first season, telling the Washington Post in 1993 that the writers kept pushing the regular cast aside to make room for guest stars. What came afterwards is the strange part. By 2016, he had stopped acting and was flying tourists on helicopter day trips to the Grand Canyon out of Los Angeles, and later he flew sightseeing runs over New York City. In 2023, he posted that he was working as a safety manager for an industrial company. This summer, he is with Heather Locklear, photographed with her in August, more than 40 years after the two of them first knew each other. Reno Raines could never stop running. Lorenzo Lamas ran for 30 years and then took a job with a schedule. Number 2. In 1982, a 15-year-old boy was building a sandcastle at the beach when it collapsed on him, and he suffocated. His name was Derek, and his father was Stephen Kahn-Uhl, the man who created this series and then played its villain. Afterwards, the actor William Katt wrote Kahn-Uhl a song called Cody the Cowboy, and Kahn-Uhl named his next son after it. Dutch Dixon was the crooked police lieutenant who framed Reno for murder, killed his own partner, and eventually murdered his own wife. Kahn-Uhl never intended to act in it. 10 to 15 actors read for Dixon before Lamas suggested the writer simply play the part himself, and he did, with a bland executive calm that made the cruelty worse. Kahn-Uhl was dyslexic. School in Pasadena was a fight, but he graduated from the University of Oregon in 1964 with a journalism degree, and he wrote on a typewriter for the rest of his life, dictating entire scripts to a secretary who stayed with him 20 years. Universal hired him as head writer at $600 a week, and by his own account, he was the cheapest writer on the lot. He built the company behind the Rockford Files, the A-Team, and 21 Jump Street, sold it in 1995 for $30 million, and then wrote 18 novels. Melanoma killed him on the 30th of September 2010, at 69. His body lies at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in the Hollywood Hills of Los Angeles. The producers of Castle left his empty chair at their poker table for a full year. Dutch Dixon destroyed other people to protect himself. Stephen Kahn-Uhl could barely read a page, and he gave this country more than 450 scripts. Third, she lost a starring role she had held for 4 seasons over a private matter that was never hers to begin with. Kathleen Kinmont played Cheyenne Phillips, the sister of Bobby Sixkiller, who ran the business end of the bounty operation and rode out with the men. She was 27 at the premiere, and she appeared in 88 episodes. How she got the job matters as much as how she lost it. Kinmont married Lorenzo Lamas in 1989 after 11 years of friendship, and the family arrangement was already peculiar because her mother, the actress Abby Dalton, had played Lamas's mother on Falcon Crest. In effect, she married her own mother's television son. When this show was being cast, Lamas worried that months apart on location would damage the marriage. So he asked Kahn-Uhl to hand his wife a co-starring role, and Kahn-Uhl did exactly that. Then, the marriage collapsed anyway. They divorced in 1993 during the 2nd season, and both of them were contracted to keep walking onto the same set for 3 more years. In 1995, Lamas had his new girlfriend, Shaunu Sand, cast in a recurring part on that same show. Kinmont said something disparaging about her on the radio. That was the end of it. Lamas reportedly petitioned to have Kinmont removed, and the production did not recast Cheyenne Phillips. It simply wrote her out, as though she had never been one of the three faces in the opening titles. Kinmont is 61 today. She moved behind the camera as a writer, a director, and a cinematographer, ran a photography business in the Los Angeles area, and released a restorative yoga video. Her mother died in Los Angeles in November of 2020 at the age of 88 after a long illness. On the 25th of March this year, Kinmont announced that she had married her longtime partner, Doug Miller. Cheyenne Phillips kept the books and never got the credit. Kathleen Kinmont was hired because of a husband, fired because of a girlfriend, and more than 30 years later she married a man the industry has never heard of. Something in that story is going to split this comment section right down the middle. Tell me honestly, should any production be allowed to erase a lead character over somebody else's personal dispute? Number 4. For the past 22 years he has lived on a homestead in Kula, on the island of Maui. Branscombe Richmond played Bobby Sixkiller, the former Marine and professional bounty hunter who was sent to bring Reno in and became the only man who believed him. He is in all 110 episodes, every single one, and he turned 71 this month. His father was Leo Richmond, a movie stuntman born in Tahiti who came to San Francisco in 1932 and became one of the first Polynesians to make a living in Hollywood. Alice Kamano Pelieo, his mother, was born in Kipahulu on Maui. Richmond started as a child extra, grew into a stuntman, and only later became a leading man. Before this series he had starred in 2 short-lived shows, Hawaiian Heat and Heart of the City, and he had already turned up in Star Trek III, License to Kill and Hard to Kill. He married Leia Lo Ha, who was Miss Hawaii in 1979. Their 3 sons all work as stuntmen, and their daughter works as a production coordinator, which makes 3 generations of one family earning a living by falling off things for a camera. The Motorcycle Hall of Fame inducted him in 2003. He fronts a band he started in 1989 and tours with it between jobs, and in 2023 he and his son, Faye Eri, directed a children's film in southern Kentucky. In 2025 he appeared in Chief of War, playing a warring island chief, and he said afterwards that what he had really wanted was to play a warrior, and they would not let him. Bobby Sixkiller spent 5 seasons chasing people across the mainland. Branscombe Richmond went home, and he stayed there, 5th on the list. His voice broke when he was 13 years old and it never came back up, and that accident of biology built one of the largest careers in American film. Don LaFontaine is the narrator at the head of every episode, the man who took 40 seconds to explain why a police officer was living on a motorcycle. He is credited on 89 of the 110 episodes, which makes him cast, though his face never once appeared. Born in Duluth, Minnesota, he finished high school in 1958 and enlisted in the United States Army, serving as an audio engineer with the Army Band and the Army Chorus. He fell into voice work by accident in 1964, standing in for a performer who did not show up so there would be something to play for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and the studio bought the spots. Over 4 decades, he recorded more than 5,000 film trailers. At his peak, he voiced 60 promotions a week, sometimes 35 in a single day. He built a recording studio inside his house in the Hollywood Hills, so he would never have to leave it. Then, on the 22nd of August 2008, he was admitted to Cedars Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles with a blood clot in his lung. Within days, he was critical, and his family asked the public to pray for him. He died on the 1st of September, 10 days after he went in and 6 days after his 68th birthday, when his lung collapsed. His grave is at Hollywood Forever Cemetery on Santa Monica Boulevard in Los Angeles. The most heard voice in American cinema belonged to a man who almost never left his own house to use it, and once he was gone, the job itself quietly stopped existing. Coming up next is the man who played the district attorney in the pilot, and at 47 he walked away from more than 100 screen credits to go and work in a hospital. Number 6, he gave up acting at 47 and went back to school to study medicine. Grand L. Bush played District Attorney Harry Wells, the honest friend whose phone call brings Reno Raines to Bay City in the first place. 3 episodes, and without that phone call there is no series at all. Bush was born in Los Angeles on Christmas Eve, 1955. the son of the actor Robert Bush and his wife Essie. He trained in Shakespeare, studied film and theater at the Los Angeles City College Theater Academy, at the University of Southern California, and at the Strasberg Academy in Hollywood, and performed at the historic Globe Theater. His first screen job was as a dancer in the film of Hair in 1979. Renegade eventually sold into more than 100 countries, and Bush is in the opening hour of it, playing the one honest man in the room, on screen for a fraction of the running time and carrying the whole premise on his back. If you have watched a certain kind of action picture, you have watched him fight, take orders, or die. Die Hard. Lethal Weapon and its sequel. License to Kill. Demolition Man. Street Fighter, where he played Balrog. Turner Classic Movies has archived more than 35 of his features. He married the journalist Sharon Dallon Ega in 1994, and the two of them later worked together as writing partners. Then, in 2003, he simply stopped. He graduated in 2010, and today he works in vascular and abdominal sonography in Los Angeles, running ultrasound scans and reading what is happening inside people's arteries. Harry Wells trusted the wrong lieutenant and lost everything for it. Grand L. Bush spent 27 years being shot at on camera, and he now spends his days looking inside strangers to find out what is going wrong. 7th. 5 guest appearances rearranged an entire television cast, and she was 23 years old when she made them. Shawnu Sand played Lake Bradshaw in the later seasons, a small recurring part on a show she had joined with almost no acting experience whatsoever. Her arrival is the reason another woman lost a 4-season job, and that is the only part of her story anybody ever tells. It leaves out nearly everything. Sand began studying ballet, jazz, and theater at 5 years old. At 11, she enrolled at the School of Creative and Performing Arts in San Diego, then went home to La Jolla for high school. She graduated from the American University of Paris with a degree in International Business Administration, and she speaks fluent French. Hugh Hefner chose her as Playmate of the Month for May of 1996. She married Lamas that same year, they divorced in 2002, and there are 3 daughters between them, all grown now, the eldest working as a creative strategist. Her later credits include a French-language series shot in Paris and Los Angeles, performed in her second language. Sand is 54. She holds a California real estate license and has worked with an international agency. Last October, divorced from him for more than 20 years, she walked into a film screening in Hollywood beside him. Lake Bradshaw was a handful of scenes and a plot complication. Shawnu Sand had a Paris business degree and 2 languages before she ever stood in front of a camera, and the public record mostly remembers who she married. Number 8. He died this past May, at home in Texas, with his family in the room. Donald Gibb was 71 years old. Cletus Hogg Adams was the convicted murderer broken out of prison to kill Reno Raines, who burst into a hotel room, missed his target, and shot the woman Reno loved instead. Everything across 110 episodes happens because of what that character did in the pilot, and because he was stabbed to death by other inmates before he could ever be made to testify. Gibb was a real athlete rather than an actor playing one. He went to the University of New Mexico on a basketball scholarship, transferred to the University of San Diego on a football scholarship, and played briefly for the San Diego Chargers until a car accident ended it. Acting came afterwards, because of the injury. Most people know him as Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds, or as Ray Jackson standing beside Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport, or as Dr. Death, the linebacker he played on HBO for 7 straight years. There is one small thing in his record worth keeping. Between the first Nerds picture and the second, he refused a scene in which his character was scripted to threaten somebody with a piece of wood, saying he did not want to be associated with that kind of action, and did not believe the character would have done it either. Throat cancer killed him on the 12th of May, 2026. He had survived a heart attack only weeks before. His family said that he loved the Lord, his family, his friends, and his fans with all his heart. And then they asked for privacy, and no burial place has ever been made public. Hogg Adams was a man nobody mourned. Donald Gibb was mourned by 4 generations of one family, and where he rests is nobody's business except theirs. If you have stayed with me this far, Subscribe. Every week this channel finds out where these people actually ended up, cemetery by cemetery. Ninth. She won a state beauty title as a high school senior, and she has said publicly that she was too shy to speak up for anything she believed in. Sandra D. Robinson, credited on this show under her birth name Sandra Ferguson, played Sandy Koo Ruthers in the 5th season, the new hire at Six Killer Enterprises who had passed Bobby's bounty hunting course on videotape. 11 episodes, and one of only 5 starring names in the whole series. She was walking into a chair a fired actress had left warm. Robinson grew up in Jefferson Hills outside Pittsburgh. In only her second serious pageant she was named Miss Pennsylvania USA in March of 1985, and she competed at Miss USA later that year. Afterwards, she went at daytime drama deliberately, and in August of 1987 she won the role of Amanda Corey on Another World, which she played until 1993 and again from 1998 until the show was canceled. She married John Reinhardt in 1989 and divorced in 1992, then married the stunt coordinator Alan Robinson in 2005. Robinson is 59. She founded a media training firm in 2010, then a consultancy built around horses in 2018, and since 2019 she has run leadership retreats where executives learn to communicate by working with the animals. Sandy Koo Ruthers was the character brought in to replace somebody who had been pushed out. Sandra D. Robinson turned a lifetime of being looked at into a living teaching other people how to be heard. And she got there because she could not do it herself. One name is still coming that you have almost certainly seen 3 times without ever learning anything about him. Number 10. 43 years of continuous work, well over 100 credits, and there is not one publicly recorded fact about his private life. No marriage. Nobody has ever reported a child. Nothing whatsoever. Jeffrey Blake played Hound Adams, the only living witness who could clear Reno Raines and who refuses to do it unless Reno murders a man first. Blake was 30 at the premiere, and he is 63 now. His character was not in the original plan. Hound Adams was invented for the 2nd season because Lamas and Khan Ool had both said openly that the 1st season was aimless and somebody had to give the show a spine. An actor was therefore hired to carry the entire plot, and what the writers handed him to play was a refusal. Put on the witness stand at last, Hound Adams names Reno as the killer, and Reno is sentenced to death for it. Blake was born in Baltimore, went to high school in Danville, California, where he starred in Oklahoma, and graduated from the University of Southern California. You have almost certainly seen him. He is Wesley, the boyfriend who hits Jenny, in Forrest Gump. The pipe-smoking astrophysicist Fisher, in Contact, is also him. He has worked over and over for Robert Zemeckis and Ron Howard in Castaway, Apollo 13, and Frost Nixon, and he played a killer in an episode of Criminal Minds in 2012. Television gave him recurring work on Paper Dolls, on Homefront, and on Any Day Now, and he turned up as A.R. Jin in an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Hound Adams protected himself by telling nobody the truth. Jeffrey Blake has stood in front of millions of people for 4 decades and has kept every single thing about himself to himself, and that is a real answer rather than a gap. And the 11th. She stopped acting at 48 and never went back. Nancy Everhard turned up across 2 seasons of this show as the attorney Rainwater Thacker E., the lawyer who arrives when a fugitive needs one, in a series otherwise full of drifters. She was 34 at the premiere, and she is 68 today. Her first credit was a bit part in a television film in 1982, and she guest-starred twice on Remington Steele as the same character. Everhard was no small player who got lucky. Born in Wadsworth, Ohio, she had already carried 2 feature films by then. Deep Star 6, the underwater horror picture in which she is the one who survives, and The Punisher, where she played a detective opposite Dolph Lundgren. In 1990, she starred beside Tom Skerritt in The China Lake Murders, which held the record for the highest-rated basic cable film for years afterwards. She was Kay Lockman in the first season of Reasonable Doubts, opposite Mark Harmon. Then she took a job on the syndicated version of The Untouchables, playing Catherine Ness, and the actor playing Elliot Ness was Tom "O-Man" Dess. She married him in 1996. 3 children followed. Years later, the two of them worked together again on the drama Everwood, from 2002 to 2004, where he played a doctor and she played somebody else entirely. In 2006, she finished. There has been nothing since, and there is no sign of any regret in it. Rainwater Thacker E arrived, solved the problem, and left. Nancy E. Veer Hard met her husband while playing his wife, and when she had what she wanted, she walked off the set and did not come back. Forest Lawn in the Hollywood Hills. Hollywood Forever on Santa Monica Boulevard. Somewhere in Texas nobody will name. A homestead on MOWE. Renegade never filmed in any of them.